Hello again, and welcome to a new episode of GitClear's virtual demo series. I am Bill Harding, and I am going to be showing off some of the more intermediate features of the commit activity browser in this demo, which is the second in our series on our most popular feature. In our previous 5-minute demo, we talked about how the commit activity browser adds color, size, and temporal placement to commits so that users can leverage this network of visual cues to cultivate a better intuition for what is actually happening in their repo on a day-to-day basis. In this video, we're going to move past some of those basic features of the commit activity browser and get into some of the more intermediate level features that our users will take advantage of. The first of the three ways that we will show using the commit activity browser today is to review relevant or dangerous code more quickly than you would be able to with a standard commit history. Dangerous code comes in many shapes and sizes, but in general, when you see a committer evolving the repo more rapidly than their average, that's a great juncture to click in to better understand the situation. A commit like this one that comes on the heels of another commit is a good example. In this case, we just want to look at what's happening in the single commit that made such a great evolution to the repo in such a short amount of time. What you can see as you click into this commit is that if you have a particular type of domain specific knowledge where you are the expert on models or testing or views or React or any area of the repo, you can use this area at the top of the commit to get a sense for what was addressed in this commit. And if none of the code that was written is in a domain that concerns you, then you've already done your job. Congratulations. You have reviewed this code and now you can move on to the next thing without reading a single line of code. However, if this isn't a domain that's relevant to your expertise and could be an area of concern, you can run through this commit. And as you do, you can observe that as you review each file, GitClear remembers what you have already looked at. So if you come back later to the same commit group as it grows and the developer prepares it for a pull request, you'll only be shown the new work that occurred since the previous time that you reviewed this file, which is a really convenient if you only have a little bit of time each day to review code and you tend to review in piecemeal fashion. The second intermediate tactic that our customers will often use with the commit activity browser is they will use it to find opportunities to be able to help teammates that might be silently struggling. One of the hardest parts of being an engineering manager is being saddled with the knowledge that the path to maximum productivity relies upon creating large, uninterrupted blocks of time for your developers. But those same large, uninterrupted blocks can easily become large, wasted blocks of time, especially when a junior developer or a developer that's new to the team is hesitant to ask for help because they're apprehensive, they're not quite sure what to ask, or the documentation on the system exists, but it's outdated. There's any number of reasons a developer might be hesitant to ask for help, which is what makes it so useful to have a system that creates this visual window you can look through to see the activity happening across your repo and across your team. As a manager, a lot of the time when you see this horizontal gap, the cause will be something benign. And in particular, if you see the information icon next to their avatar, which indicates that this is one of their 20th percentile or lower weeks relative to their historic norms, that can be a really great time to check in and make sure that there's not any ambiguity about what their tasks are, or to make sure that they are being blocked by some other stakeholder or some other ticket. Finally, the third tactic we're going to cover in this demo is using the graph to detect how a team is progressing relative to their story point estimates. Now, we have an entire section of GitClear dedicated to breaking down a team's detailed Jira progress across many dimensions, but on a day-to-day basis, a manager doesn't usually care about the big questions like how their cycle time is increasing over the last 6 months. They just care that right now, progress seems to be going more slowly than had been estimated. What's up with that? Since we currently have this graph set up to color commits by the issue that they resolve, we have these labels at the top of the commit activity browser for each ticket that's underway. When you hover over one of these labels, along with lighting up the commits that implement the ticket, we can also see at a glance how much time the team thought this ticket would take compared to how much time this ticket has actually taken so far to implement. When you find a ticket like this one, where the developer has been working on the ticket way longer than the estimate, a good first question to probe is what the developer has been working on lately, aside from this ticket, because in our research, it's not at all uncommon that 30 to 50% of a developer's time will be consumed by opportunities that weren't originally on the sprint schedule or in Jira. And when this happens without the commit activity browser, managers get confused and the team starts to veer off of their schedule. But when you have this graph, what you will often see is commits with the strike through line through them, which is indicating that there is work being undertaken aside from any particular Jira ticket. Maybe the CEO of the company asked the developer for a special favor. Maybe the developer wanted to pause work on the ticket to clean up some tech debt they noticed during the course of implementation. Whatever the reason, when a manager sees their world through the commit activity browser, they'll know more sooner than later when reality is starting to diverge from their plan. And they'll also have a long-term record of how estimates compared to their actual time spent on each ticket, which can be extremely useful for teams that undertake postmortems. So that's all the time we have for this demo. Stay tuned for part 3 of our commit activity browser demo to see how reviewing code via this graph can easily save a developer 30% or more time compared to reviewing code through other methods. Especially if you're a developer, I think you're really going to like this next chapter of our demo, so see you there.